And we're on. Welcome, welcome, SRE people. How are you today? Good, good? Amazing, perfect. Okay, so I am Matteo. I used to be an SRE like you, but then I took an arrow to the knee, and thanks God I don't do on-call anymore. So now I'm a free man, I'm a free house. And this is the agenda for today. We're going to have a small introduction about how I ventured into SRE. Don't ask me why. I really don't want to explain that. The oops moments we had bringing up SRE in a company from zero. And you'll see what I mean when I say zero. The big red button, that's like the biggest mistake I ever did in my SRE life. I almost lost my job, by the way, which is not my fault necessarily. But yeah, it was. The solutions that we found, I actually found, to that problem. So, the introduction is a little bit of my dev background. I started as, well, a web developer, I would say. PHP, Laravel, some C++, even if it's not web, that was like embedded systems. Then I had an ops evolution because I'm very lazy. Like, I'm the laziest person in the room. I wish I could be seated like you now. And I did silly mistakes, but very silly as an SRE. Because I just read the SRE book from Google and said, yeah, I'm an SRE now. No, I was not. So this was me in my first years as a dev. In a way, I was not trying really to look for help. I had no mentors, of course, like most of you haven't had in their career, early days at least. And so I was trying to figure stuff out myself, and that was painful. Sometimes it got really ugly. Like I even remember this time where I was wondering if I should go for another career, like outside of IT. Like I was thinking, hey, maybe I should be, I don't know, I should work in a shop, in a music shop. By the way, I like music, so why not? And then I joined this company where I was, of course, like a junior person. I was the younger of the entire company. That was not me. I was like 19. So they just had a very old population of developers. My company started this reorg, of course. They wanted to do stuff different. So they wanted to implement DevOps in the company. And what they did was picking every software team and saying, okay, one of each software team is now a DevOps. What a terrible idea, if I must say. I was picked up because I was the one saying yes to everything, because I was the youngest. I was like, yeah, I can be DevOps, of course. What is that? I don't know. I started, of course, crafting some pipelines with Jenkins, and that was very nice until it was not. So I really believe that only just a few pipelines made me a DevOps. I was very naive at the time. I had a lot of fights with management, telling them that no, just a little automation is not really enough to have a DevOps culture and to have a DevOps team. I don't really like the term DevOps as a job description, by the way, but you get what I say. Like in my contract, unfortunately, I was hired as a DevOps at some point. Like they changed my title. And this was the situation after a while that we decided to implement some automation in our, I would say, crappy platform. So we had a manual provisioning thing with VMware and Foreman and some database for getting tracks of auditing. And that was hideous to really do. You had to provision a VM that was probably 2 hours of work. And then we had also the VM itself that had to be handled. We had to install Java. We had to install a lot of stuff. We created some templates, yes, but we cloned VMs, and that brought a lot of mistakes, as you might know yourself. We had a ton of manual networking done. We configured every single load balancer, every gateway, everything by hand. Not myself, fortunately. I have no idea about networking. Manual database management. We had physical data center filled with Oracle DBA people, DBA, and they were really nice at saying no to tickets. Every time we had to do a change on the database, there was probably 40 emails on a thread. Oh, and everything was handled by a Frial CLI tool called Guacamole from Apache. We just logged SSH into each machine to do this, included the database. I started to notice that DevOps was clunky in the company. Most deployments started having errors, not necessarily for infrastructure, but also like configuration, application, of course. And the reason was that our team was not collaborating very well with other teams. Like application teams were just like deploying applications, provisioning whatever they wanted, and there was no control, no real like feedback loop between teams. We didn't break down any silo. Like actually we created a bit more. We started with this idea we pushed from the bottom, having like an horizontal DevOps team. So at least we could have some centralized control. Someone would call it now platform engineering team. We were a bit ahead of time. And we had to start with education, because we had to start educating first ourselves as the DevOps team, and then our developers, our application people, our management. That was very important. Like educating management in this case saved our lives. Things started getting slowly better. So we had improvements. That's fine. That's cool. And now it comes, the ops moments. We had problems in different fields. You're going to see, I think the funniest one could be security. That was a very big deal. And of course, it's the last one, as you may see. So we had this Jenkins system with a million of parameters. Every team had their own Jenkins instance. That was very nice. At some point, we had centralized our Jenkins enterprise version of the product. So we had quite a lot to deal with. Remember what I said about application teams and education? Forget about that. They didn't get educated. We had shared pipelines, and they would run multi-branch pipelines every single day. Every commit was a pipeline. At some point, our machines grew so big that we had to say, stop. Like we're paying a shit ton of money for infrastructure, and we're building out of your single commit that is just adjusting like a comma or a label. We should be smarter with our resources. And that was great. So we started like doing nightly builds. We started doing builds only on the release branches, thanks God. And we got down to a decent CI/CD system. Decent, but still put together with spit, as we say in Italy. So our Jenkins grew and grew and grew. And it comes out of memory, yay. So we decided that finally, at least divided by domain, every of the products would have just one pipeline, with just one machine for Jenkins. So isolated, you can do whatever you want with it. If you break it, you take it back. You do whatever you want. And in the end, it was always us like fixing those machines, but at least they wouldn't disrupt everyone else in the company. And it comes with database. Databases were initially done by hand with email threads. We changed that workflow, adding Jira. So now, I know what you're thinking. So now we had this Jira instance with a project for databases, with a lot of great fields like the environment, the name of the database, everything was a drop down. So you could do mistakes, but it was still like in a controlled environment. The only, of course, free text was the SQL query. I would argue that we should have had a check on the SQL, at least syntax, but no, we didn't. So what happened is that we had an infinite list of Jira tickets thrown at the database team continuously every day. And they would just review them, say no, and refuse them or execute them with one button. That was a bit of a click hopes, but only the wrong side of it, not the right side of it. And in a way, I would say that maybe 10% of the time it went smoothly in production. And 90% of the time there was something, like an index not created, or, oh no, I have to amend the previous query that I did, I forgot a field. The table has been dropped. Oh, wow, I just really forgot that. I did that in dev and it didn't work. Okay, it's fine. Database people started growing frustrated of us, understandably, and of development teams. At a point, they said that our Oracle instance was failing because there was data on it. Really? Data? That's your problem? Of course, we had a lot of people making like full table scans at every single query. So that might have been a problem, but not the amount of data. Come on, like it was like probably less than 10 terabytes. What is that? It's not a big database, at least for a big enterprise. Like we had 10 million plus customers. That's nothing. Networking. So we started having the same system with Jira for networking. Amazing idea. Yes. So now people are throwing tickets to the networking team, and the networking team is executing them the same way that the database team does. And that caused a lot of trouble, a lot of downtime. And again, the networking team had no idea about DevOps. They had no idea, of course, about more modern stuff like the cloud. They were like principally like physically putting switches in the data center. So of course they had to also educate themselves. The tribal knowledge, we had a shit ton of tribal knowledge going on in the company. Everyone was protecting it like their lives. No one would share documentation. Everything was like, oh, that person in that room knows that thing. You should go talk to him. And that was painful, especially because we had 3 different cities in Italy where this company was dislocated. So it's okay, we need to travel all the way to the eastern part of Italy to just speak with them. Really? Can't we just get on a call? No, it was not possible. And by the way, we used Cisco WebEx, so it was not possible for real. We forgot security. Of course, we forgot security. And when we recalled ourselves, we might need security, data breach. Millions of data flown out of the company. I cannot say the name, but if you look on my LinkedIn, you can find out. I was an SRE only in that company. And that was a pretty big deal. I can talk about that now. It's not embargoed anymore. It's public domain. And it's 5 years ago. And so we had an audit, rightfully, and we had to fix a lot of stuff. And that took at least 8 months to fix all of the security issues, every API, everything. Like we had to look down to the sand, all of our infrastructure, all of our applications, which is good, which is great, but maybe we should have done it before the incident. And now it comes the biggest mistake that I ever did. And that's me, sorry. Again, we were far away from having a platform. We are just beginning to have some more automation and some more glue between our components. We spearheaded DevOps in the company. It was working slowly. So we also got buy-in from the management. We had some funding. We got some budget to spend. And so we came up with this delicious workflow that I despise with all my heart now. Commit on a branch. Especially, I'm thinking about a release branch because now we build only release branches. Remember? Build. Jenkins tags the build. We upload the artifact on JFrog Artifactory. Then we have a ESC with Puppet that also takes on the application deployment. Big mistake in my opinion. Always try to detach infrastructure from application. And then we would deploy, still manually restarting JBoss, logging in the machine. Nothing new. At some point I automated that step with a script within Puppet. And then we would communicate with our customer via Slack or via email for the old-fashioned ones. And remember that we still had the whole like VMware formatting going on and that horrible integration because no one would want to look at it. In that company now, I think they're fucked because Broadcom, VMware, I don't know what they do. Automation because I'm lazy. Yes, indeed. I'm the laziest person. I automated this workflow, this entire workflow in one single bash script. What a great idea, right? It was a shiny Friday morning. This is the conversation I had with my lead. Hey, can you deploy 420 on Acme Inc? That's before lunch. Oh, yeah, sure thing. Let me fix something real quick and I'll do it. So I reverse search in my history and I hit play. It's fine. Okay, Puppet apply, Acme prod, SH. Okay, clear. It's fine. Yeah, pipeline succeeded. Artifact is available. I checked everything. I started the script. I'm going to go grabbing lunch now. Back soon. In the meantime, Artifact was downloaded. Check some matches. Great. Current development version found. 419. Overriding. Newer. 420. Okay. By the way, it's not a joke. That was really 420. That's not like Easter egg. I know it seems that it's not, but we used a bunch of nested SH files, which is great. I designed that. Thanks. To deploy stuff. And it was a mix of cases, snakes, random dashes, whatever. I have no idea how I put that on. Probably I'm going to share it on GitHub at some point. I still have it. Of course, anonymizing some data. Because yes, we had like passwords and stuff like directly in the bash. Deployment successful. Yay. In all this time, I was not at my desk. And my laptop was unlocked, by the way. Slack webhook, 200. We also had a message on Slack. How great. Email sent. We sent an email to our customer that we deployed. Exactly. It was not wanted. That was improvisation. I had a pizza for lunch. It was a Friday. Yes. And, why is the customer saying nothing is working anymore? Hello, we have a problem. Everyone into the war room. Now. Okay, but is this war room like a physical room or like something like, it's a concept? I don't know. Anyway, in all of this, my phone was ringing, but since I was like back, like I was on lunch on a Friday, of course I didn't reply, like whatever. And I took 1 hour and a half to come back to the premises. I smoked a cigarette even. It was a spicy cigarette, of course. Everything exploded. Like, boom, completely off. In your opinion, now, what was the solution that we found? You know the context, you know me a little bit. Just some random guesses if you want. What? Roll back. No change Friday, that's a nice one. Roll back. Okay, let's say that we had some customers and this customer in particular that I'm thinking about, they had a strict security system. So any change, especially on the database that we did, was done in their infrastructure. And we had no access to that aside from a single script that could only push changes and never roll it back. Oopsie. And so yeah, this is me. I'll automate my manual job with a script, having zero guardrails, so I can have time for my pizza lunch, getting too confident making silly mistakes, potentially causing a lawsuit, because that's what was happening. In the hours later, our company was called by many people, and we also received like a certified email from a lawyer saying that they're gonna take our asses. Not mine in particular, but my managers. In the end, this is not very far from what really happened around that incident. So we didn't flew because it was Italy, and we took a train, 6 hours. We went to Rome. The customer was based in Rome. We were based in Milan. And we went into this room. I was also invited. I don't know why. Why should you invite me? That was not me. And I thought, okay, they're going to just fire me on the spot at the customer premises. So it's fine. Like, nothing can go wrong. I already started looking for another job. And we had a very long, exhausting, I don't know even how to describe it. It was a conversation that led to pain, tears, sweat, blood. And the customer ended up saying that, okay, we don't care about who made the mistake. And I was like, yes. So I said sorry, by the way. So does that count? Sorry for a couple of millions? Yeah? Okay. And then after I revealed to everyone what kind of mistake I did and why and what, we had this customer being a bit more relaxed. Why I say that? Because this customer was one of the biggest oil and gas companies in the world, by the way. And they understood that technology can fail, of course. But if you put guardrails, as in you can't deploy on a Friday, or you can't deploy unless you have this list of big like approvals and it takes 1 month to do that, then you're always going to have an outdated infrastructure, the outdated software. And they said, okay, you know what? You can deploy whenever you want. Just do it in a nice way. Just have some processes. Involve our technical team. Like in all of this, we never had any chat with their technical team. Like we were provided a couple of keys, couple of scripts to run on our side to reach their infrastructure, but we never really had a chat. We never really understood what was their topology, what kind of permissions we needed. We started like really working closely together, like integrating our scripts with their infrastructure, integrating everything, like sharing even the code base. Of course, like after some legal contracts, whatever. But yeah, this was the beginning of something great. So yeah, now I have a new script that says, are you sure you want to deploy in production on that customer? And you can confirm by writing yes. Guess what? Pipe yes, because I don't want to really confirm. I know it's the same mistake all over again, but I said no. You know why I said no? Because we eventually migrated everything to the cloud. We started like using Kubernetes with this shiny GitOps product, and we had this setup. After 5 months from this happening, we migrated everything. It took 1 year of having a real platform. Yeah. So we turned this one, remember this one, right? Into something more similar to this one. So we had some GitLab automation. Oh, before that, we used SCM. It was like the SVN. So that was like totally hideous. I would not do it again anymore. We had, of course, Jira, but this time it was not really acting as a ClickOps. We had Jenkins again, but in a different fashion. We started having our first developer portal with Kong. So we really had very good time building all of this. We actually started using more like Grafana and Prometheus. We finally adopted an observability tool, and it was New Relic. Fuck, the worst one, the most expensive one, but I wasn't paying, so it's fine. And then we also added some support for Argo CD and Flux. Yes, you heard it right, Argo CD and Flux. Because in the end, our teams would not come to an agreement on what to use. And so we said, fine, use whatever you want. That's okay. We support both. And that also brought some errors again. So, key takeaways of the presentation: automation should be trusted for production as well, with some guardrails. Mistakes will happen. Risk management is not optional, and this goes to every manager in the room, if any. I hope not. Rules should be challenged, aiming to improve the process continuously. So I don't care if there are rules. I'm going to break them. I'm going to say sorry for a couple of millions again, but I'm going to improve the process in the end. By the way, I'm Matteo Bianchi. I'm open to work on platform DevOps, SRE, or DevRel. If your company is looking for someone like me, you should hit me up. Last but not least, we have a plan of bringing a lot of people from the, continental part of Europe to London for KubeCon in 2025. And we're going to have a big party at our arrival for KubeTrain. So kubetrain.io. If your company wants to sponsor, by the way, that's also me. So let's keep in touch. Thank you.